Atanasio Segovia, mi hermano y director de Familia Soma. Bienvenidos.
Gracias.
Okay, in English. Atanasio, what does genuine community look like for you?
So for me, I think of genuine community like a taco, right? There's different components. You can't have a taco without a tortilla. You can't have genuine community without the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? Like, that's essentially like the core piece. So genuine community is formed through the gospel. It's held together by the gospel. And another key component as well is that, and what that looks like, I would say practically, is people that have a lot of differences, in spite of those differences, still have community. So in my context, for example, the community that I belong to, the church that I belong to, the reality is that most of us would not be hanging out. There's different socioeconomic ladders, which is a challenge in Mexico. There's different skin tones, which is another challenge in Mexico, the way not just races, but skin tones interact. That's a big problem down here. There's different ages, there's different things. So a genuine community looks like that in spite of all of these differences, people that would not be hanging out together, that would not be in the same place together, come together because of Jesus Christ. It's motivated by the love of the Father, right? We're able to love one another because the Father loved us first. But I also think genuine community looks like something that was put together by the Holy Spirit. That can't really be explained. It's countercultural. It's different from what's normal. And I think it's also measurable. Genuine community is measurable. Like, how well are we following all of the one another verses in the New Testament? So there you go. That's the taco of genuine community.
Very nice. Now, is it a Tex-Mex taco with a pound of cheese and flour tortilla, or is it like a real taco?
I would say a taco in our context, south of the border, no cheese.
There you go. We have non-genuine community tacos in Texas, and you have the true genuine community.
It's different ingredients, yeah.
Yeah. On that, I mean, you lived in Bay Area, San Francisco area. You've lived in Mexico. Talk a little bit about the kind of the natural flow of Familia in your current culture compared to what you've seen some in the States.
There's a big difference. I would say in the United States, I almost feel like the church is trying to figure out or rediscover community, genuine community, for many reasons. But I think one of them in the States, from what I experienced was, and what I noticed was, it's a highly individualistic society, right? Like, so it's very structured, my life, my things, my time. So I think the challenge in the States was that it really felt like recreating something that was lost. But also kind of like, it's countercultural in the sense that you're asking someone to give up a huge value, which is their individualism. Not that it gets erased, but surrendered a lot. In Mexico, it's different. Down here, we're a collective society. So community and family, it's all baked in. As a Mexican, I don't see myself as an individual. I always see myself as part of a group, part of a family, part of a larger thing. So it's not so much what do I desire individually, but rather what's good for the group. So community is baked into the culture. However, I would say that it's shallow, first and foremost, right? It's like, yeah, let's have community, let's hang out, but don't go too deep into my life. That's one of the challenges, but redeemed community looks different, right? It's people opening themselves up, people sharing their life, people willing to do that, and there's an openness to have other people speak into their lives freely, which I didn't see that much in the United States. It felt a lot more, it required more work. So there's difference, right? One, recreate; the other one, I would say, reshape.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that both need both have a starting point that, I mean, like we said in the subtitle, is moving from facade to family. And so even though there's different starting points, what I hear you saying is there's both, in both cultures, there's nuance that block genuine community from truly being genuine community.
Yep.
So you listed some of the harder parts. What are some of the most beautiful things, or your favorite things, when a community can break through those things and become real?
It sounds weird, but I say this half jokingly, but the gospel works. When you're seeing lives transformed, and people, it's almost like drawing out what Christ has already put inside of us. I think it's taken out already what's in there. I don't think you can actually become fully who you are without Christian community, genuine community. We need each other. We need the different giftings. We need the different perspectives. But what's beautiful is then being able to see like a brother and sister, or, myself included, be transformed by the gospel in community. That for me, I haven't really experienced that much. I've been able to experience it a lot more recently, but also being able to see people just maturing and growing, and I would measure that by transparency, right? When you have genuine community, people are willing to open themselves up, knowing that they're not going to be shamed, they're not going to be hurt, but rather they're going to be loved, edified, and transformed. So anyways, that's my favorite part of it.
Yeah. And what is your hope? Kind of a quick final question. What's your hope as we come out of a year of isolation? I know it looks different in Mexico than it does in Texas, than where other people are watching from. But what's your hope as it relates to community for your own church, for the global church, for Familia Soma?
I'm hoping that we learned. I'm hoping that we learned to see more like the organic part of the church. I would argue that it was more like the structural part of the church that was shaken, and a lot of things probably needed to be shaken. So my hope is that we don't come back the same, rebuilding what was there, the focus on programs and events and things like that. But my hope is that we learn that one of the most beautiful gifts we have through the gospel is that we're saved, individually, but we're placed into a group, into a family. So my hope is that we come out of this, my local church, Familia Soma, the global church, valuing community a lot more.
Yeah. My hope as well. Thank you so much for lending a story to the book. I'm excited for folks to get to read that. Thank you for your friendship, your perseverance and persistence, for your continued work in discipleship and church planting across Latin America. Love you, brother. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for the opportunity, Val.